how it started. I don't know what you did. Now I'm the gal that's chasing you up. Flip my lid. Come here, eager beaver, baby.
Hello and welcome to
Was That an Orgy? Woo!
starring Charlene and Teresa Bod, two sisters that explore the topics of sex, sexuality, gender, and sex positivity. We will also try to answer the question, was that an orgy?
Does that work? Probably gets more cleavage.
Oh my God. Today we have Stand Up Smut, and our guest is Eleanor O'Brien, producer, performer, writer, and creator.
And pervert.
And
pervert. Yay.
Yeah, we sent her so many things that would be so disturbing to your average person, and you were just like,
Licked
yeah,
it up,
girl.
didn't I?
Yeah, you were like, creator, Stand Up Smut.
People.
And
We found our people. Yeah.
Dance Naked Productions, or Dance Naked Creative. I said it right
Yes,
that time.
I just changed the name of my company, actually, because I got deplatformed from Instagram.
Oh.
But also because I realize now I do so much more than productions. I do a lot of workshops and events and things like that aren't actually productions. So creative gave me more possibilities.
It's very open-ended, just like me.
Like a tongue. Is that what that smell is? I was wondering what that was.
Oh, I'm getting the Teflon coated underwear.
I was always thinking they should have some with like charcoal pads in them.
Oh my God,
You
yeah.
know? Or, so you can fart and it won't make a smell. Or maybe a Glade plug-in,
Is this
I
helpful?
totally-
Is
I
this
totally
helpful?
thought-
Does this give you
I'm
does it
getting
make you nervous?
seasick.
I know.
No.
I don't know.
No, I'm getting over the camera shyness.
Tell you, when I was married, I thought charcoal underwear was a great idea.
Yeah.
I need to say no more. But
But
that's
then,
it, yeah.
then from the stress in your relationship, the charcoal underwear would have turned into diamonds from your ass clenching all the time. So
me going,
you really missed an opportunity. Yeah.
Could have made so many diamonds in my butthole.
Right? There's a song in there. Diamonds in my butthole. Diamonds in my butthole.
Diamonds in my
Looking
butthole.
down for the treasure. Yeah. I love a good improvised song.
Me too. Me too. Next on the docket is the Glade plug it in, butt plug. That's what
Butt
I
plug
think.
it in, butt plug it in.
No doo-doo, no doo-doo. No doo-doo smell all day. I'll work on it. Okay.
Now it smells like shit and flowers.
My favorite. Fertilizer and flowers.
Compost.
Yeah, exactly. It's what's for dinner. Yeah. Well, I totally squirreled you and interrupted while you were introducing
my
her. But I just
God.
want to throw in there, too, that, I know close to zippity-doo-dah about Eleanor, but I was told by multiple people, you have to meet Eleanor O'Brien.
It's true.
And yeah, when people tell me that a few times, I'm like, who is this bitch? She's got to be awesome. And she is. I looked at the camera just for Mom.
And where did we meet?
So
perfect.
At the Hump Indie Porn Film Festival.
That's right.
It was great. And
I will never forget it.
You met there just this year?
yeah.
Just weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
God.
was,
Okay, I didn't see you there, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And then
It
we
was-
stood outside in the freezing cold and we bonded like glue. It was so great.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting experience because Teresa is so similar to me. I was like, oh my God, it's like meeting a doppelganger, but 10 times more awesome. So awesome.
I disagree with the math equation.
I'm
but
just saying, it's so
Yeah.
funny, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
accomplished, has done all the things I ever wanted to do but haven't done.
Well, you have a short list, clearly, which that's
I'm
great. So
3
do
bands,
I. So there we go.
Teresa. And
Yeah,
then she
yeah.
told me about the Cummy Gummies, and
oh my God.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't
that's
stop laughing.
That's one of
I fell
my.
asleep laughing.
It's one of my upcoming comedy sketches. Everyone, as the
brilliant.
Cummy Bears.
I want to be in that one for sure.
Cummy Bears makes your cummy yummy. Right now, I'm actually working on one though, and it's I'm going to give away the punchline, but that's okay. It's the song Thriller. This one is about a diva cup that spills on a dance floor. It's Diva Spiller, Spiller Night. Yeah. So I was.
Looks like a scene from Carrie, but it's gonna be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. if not getting laid is all right. But yeah, I dressed in drag. I sent you the picture, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Did I?
Yes.
Okay, good. I won't bring it up again. But
Maybe
yeah.
we need to put that picture in the comments section of the
Please.
YouTube.
And
'cause
just
that
like
is
my
so
little
funny.
white guy dance that I
Oh
was
my
doing.
God.
You know.
You are so disturbing in your whole
know.
like Gary look. Oh.
Yeah, I would. Well,
That's
and then
so creepy.
I was trying to figure out my name. Mom and Dad said if I was born a boy, they'd name me Robert. But then for short, it'd be like Bob and Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby Bod. Bobby Bod.
Bobby Bod?
Yeah.
Bobby
I would not
Bod?
fuck Bobby Bod.
No, I wouldn't.
Maybe
I definitely
Robert,
would not
but-
fuck Bobby Bod.
Bobby Bod.
There are certain names, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
Todd. Can't fuck a Todd. Can't fuck a Phil.
Yeah.
Michael, you're in. I'm just saying. I mean, it is my dad's name, but
Michael's win.
You could be filled by a Michael, but not by a Phil. There
You can't
go.
be Michaeled by a Phil.
Daddy issues.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never fuck a Sonny for that reason.
Oh,
Yeah, that's our dad. Anyway.
yeah.
But no, after I was looking at
know
my
Hot Phil.
makeover picture, which maybe I should bring it up and just show the people. I was like, if my mustache was a little more realistic and the wig too, I was like, I think I would have made a better looking guy than a girl. I think I'd fuck me.
No.
I don't know.
No, dude, no.
Okay.
Although you do look a little bit like Grandpa.
Email it. Okay, I'll email it. I'm just going
Yeah.
through. Unfortunately, what's in the way is the thread of like.
She has all these for everyone who can't see her phone, which is no one should see
Which
her
is
phone
good.
right now. She has all these photos of really, really hairy pussies on her phone, and someone getting pee-peed into their mouth.
Because I got trolled by one of those sex bots that's like, oh, is this Valentino? This is Erica. Remember me? I'm horny and alone, and we texted, and I really want to get together. And then it's just one of those auto-reply things.
Yeah.
So I just had fun with it. And
sure did.
It was genius.
yeah, thank you. I had a good time. So did she. She got really hot and bothered.
Yeah, because you
That's
were so
right.
sexy.
Yeah. Towards the end, I don't know. I didn't text you the last part of it.
You
but
look like
towards-
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Towards the end of it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
See,
damn.
Come on, I'm a little sexy as a
I
guy.
wanna-
You look.
Yeah,
Hold on to that mustache. And
right? You want a free?
I'm so disturbed. No.
Can I? Oh, he said to email it in. I'll text
Yeah.
it to Michael.
Yeah,
Okay, there
yeah,
You
we
go.
got
There
that.
you go, honey.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
so cute. Oh yeah, because he can like put it up on the screen.
And then
Can
I
you show
want-
it to the TikTokers though.
Yeah, I want
TikTok
people
needs to see this.
to-
Are we still live on the
We're still live
TikTok?
on the TikTok.
Holy cannoli! Oh, I wrote Carmichael. All right, Michael Van
They have
Zandt.
their own soundtrack.
All right, I want everyone to comment in and tell me if you'd fuck me here.
Yeah, get really close. You got to get close. How hot?
ride from this?
Yeah. How's her?
Or no? And look, I made myself a fake.
It's a spicy
Is
meatball.
Bobby Bod?
Bobby Bod's got some spice and meatball.
Question: Is Bobby Bod fuckable? That's the question for our viewers today. Bobby Bod, fuckable or no?
I'd fuck me. I would.
I'd fuck you.
Oh wait, you have to say it like this.
I'd fuck me.
fuck me.
I'd fuck me.
It puts the lotion on its sack, or else it gets a booty thwack. Just saying.
Because having a soft sack is very important.
It is important. That's right.
Is there a different kind of sex? Is there hard sex?
Ooh,
Maybe cowboys with
I've-
calluses.
I've seen some
Riding bareback.
callous sack.
Riding a bear's back, that would make you callous.
Yeah,
too,
that
right?
sure would.
All those bristly, grizzly hairs. Come
Oh my
on.
God.
All right.
Where have we
I
gone?
successfully squirreled us once again, as I do. That's my superpower.
Where did we go?
So, oh yeah,
Are
we
we
have a
still
guest.
here?
I forgot. Yeah.
I want to know about Stand Up Smut. I am dying. I've never been to one. I want to know
I haven't
all
either.
about it.
But
I
you're
want to
gonna
be
go.
at it,
We're
on
gonna
it,
do it
in
now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Stand Up Smut started 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was in a kava bar, and it's an erotic open mic. And so the invitation was for people to share things that were sexual or erotic in nature, although it doesn't necessarily have to be arousing. Like,
Okay.
Right.
Because, it is, and that's different for everybody, right? So,
Yeah.
So people, I think, initially felt a little bit apprehensive, like this isn't that sexy,
Right.
And so I try to define erotic as our sexuality as filtered through our imagination. So there's everything from, stories, songs, poetry, and now because we've moved online, visual art.
Yeah.
And the idea is that I wanted to create a safe space or safer space, where that kind of material was welcome. And there's just not that many places. Like I have a writers group that I am a part of, and it's all women. And last week I shared this story about going on a Bumble date, and the guy ended up going down on me, and blah blah blah. And it was the first time I had written, I shared anything that was sort of sexual. And this group of women, and they're all grown-ups, they were like, ooh, that's a lot. And
oh no.
And I hadn't even thought about it, like that it would be inappropriate. But I think in so many places in our lives, I mean, I'm sure you get this, the material we might want to share is inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a place where people felt like they could open up and share, share sexy stories, share, things that happened on their Tinder dates, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just love it.
Yeah.
It's intimate. So cool. It's funny. It's I for a long time I've been a fan of body storytelling. I don't know if you guys ever listen to her podcast. That's Dixie DeLatour. It's great.
No.
I never have, but I'm jealous that she got that name, because I actually thought this is one of the reasons people told me, and sorry, we'll get right back to you, but this is one of the reasons people told me I should meet you, is I wanted to do the body bod storytelling, and then people mentioned you, and then I realized, oh, she's already got that name.
Yeah, she's been doing it like 10 years.
Yeah.
She's great. And it's a great podcast, but it's all stories, right? And it's stories that somebody has crafted. So, it's you pay your $20 or whatever, and it used to be in person, now it's just a podcast. Well, actually it's going back to in person too. But there's no room for other kinds of artistic expression. So, poetry, all that kind of stuff. And then there's also Mystery Box, which is a live show out of Portland. Same thing, though, storytelling. So I just realized there was nowhere for any other kind of erotic expression.
Yeah.
So that's where the impetus came from to create Stand Up Smut. And the thing that I love is it's super cheap. It's $5, right? So it's not a big barrier to entry.
Good.
Because we don't want any barriers to entry.
And, cheap and easy.
And it's once a month, and I don't stress out about it. I just send out invitations to people. People find it in various ways. And knock wood, every time I've done it, and it's, been in the dozens now, I guess 3 years worth. It's a super special experience. It's intimate. It's it feels very cozy.
Yeah.
It's funny, a friend of mine came to see it, and she was like, it's like the most relaxed sex event I've ever been a part of.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I sort of love that, because I was like, it was at a kava bar originally. I don't know if you've ever done kava. It's like drinking dirt water.
It's like progesterone.
It's not sexy.
And dirt mixed together.
But it is sort of this like aphrodisiac that makes you sort of calm and yet aroused. So
nice.
So it's a different vibe than it would be in a bar or a comedy club or anything like that.
Right.
It's much more sort of accepting and non-judgmental, and and it's
less
a 6-minute
rowdy.
time. It's not terribly rowdy.
Yeah.
And so if things something's not going particularly well, then I'm like, oh, your 6 minutes is up. Okay.
Yeah.
But if it is going well, I sort of let it go. And so it's we've had all kinds of performance art and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Well, that led me to my first question, because as I mentioned, I entertained doing a story night as well, and one of the things I thought about was kind of pre-screening the stories, because I went to a story event in town, which shall remain nameless, but they did like a draw your name, kind of a ticket kind of a thing. And oh my God, it was like, how many stories of woeful childhoods do I have to listen to? Like I was like, somebody tell a joke, and I thought like, if I did a story thing, I'm sorry, but I feel a little bit protective about, what my customers, I guess, would be subjecting themselves to.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that I don't want a night full of tales of woe. Like I'm more.
And I really try to like be, when people sign up, I'm like, this is not therapy. Like it could be therapeutic, but if you are having feelings about something that happened in your life that you have not worked through, it is not time to tell a story about it.
Yeah, it's not group therapy.
It's not group therapy.
Yeah.
And I really haven't had much of that, which is great.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I pre-screen, but I generally know a lot of the performers. There's a lot of people who come back again and again. And so I try to sort of stock the fish barrel, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
So I know that there's at least 3 gems in there, and then there's sort of 3 unknowns, and and I try to tell a story every time. So I know something will be brilliant.
Yeah, you got at least one good one every time.
Yeah, show them how it's done too.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
right.
School them. Yeah. So I forget if you mentioned, is it back? Where is it now? Is it zooming?
Yeah,
zooming in.
Yeah, I was going to go back in September, but the thing is about the Kava Bar is it's like the size of this room, and we'd pack 50 people.
Is
in
it
there.
the one on Division?
It's not. It's the one over on in North Portland on Albina, and
I haven't seen that.
it's super sweet. It's like the most lovely little space, and they loved having us. It was a real, it was such a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Delta, couldn't do it.
Fucking
Yeah.
So the hope is to go back into person and then do some kind of hybrid version. But
yeah,
Cool.
I love it.
Right now it's online.
Or maybe some find a place that has outdoor covered,
Right.
like the heaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be
But
nice.
the thing is actually about the online, the bonuses or the benefits of it are that
boner.
we have the boner of it.
The boner.
is that we have people who come from all over the world.
Oh,
And,
cool.
and then there is, to me, an aspect of people somewhat feel safer, I think, being intimate that might not do it in person.
Yeah.
But, the fact that they can then turn their camera off and be like, ah.
Right,
I think-
exactly.
I think invites more people to participate than might otherwise. So.
Right,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. Yeah, because I think that I remember reading somewhere. I mean, this sounds a little hard to be true, or to believe, but I heard that people, generally speaking, are more terrified by the concept of public speaking than dying.
Right.
So,
It's the number one fear.
yeah.
I
So,
know. And
just
then
being,
add in talking about
hear the extrovert over here. She's like, "What?
What?
I love
I'm
it."
so afraid of death and not public speaking.
I know.
So weird.
Yeah.
You freaks. I'm judging you. I'm judging
Yeah.
you. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I still have some. I mean, the bands help, but
I'm not an improv person. I've been doing theater my whole life, but I have never been called to do improv. And it's because it's so terrifying to me.
Right.
That you have
Yeah.
to be funny on demand.
right.
Yeah.
So my whole background is theater, right? I've been a
didn't
theater
know
artist
that.
since I was 8 years old. I went to college for it, grad school. And it's
wow.
because you get a script and you have to
Yes.
follow a script.
Yes.
And that to me is such a safety raft,
Yeah.
So doing things like this is definitely, my butthole is making diamonds.
Diamonds in a butthole. Diamonds in a butthole.
Diamonds in a butthole. Spit it on down.
I get that because, I think because of the 3 bands for, 10 years, everyone assumes that I'm an extrovert like Shar, and that I have no fears. And, it's like our first podcast day here. I was like, cameras, no! But that's how I explain things to people too, is 3 years, 10 bands of standing on stage and singing the same songs or songs that are pre-written, over and over and over again. It's so much more safe than just getting up and just being tearing off all of your psychic skin. Here I am.
Right.
Love me or judge me. Oh God, please love me.
Well,
Get it.
like what we talked about when the night we met, we're both ENFPs on the Myers-Briggs.
That's right.
And what I learned about that is that personality type, we are extroverts, but we are the most introverted of the extroverts.
Well said.
And
yes.
then when I learned that, I was like, oh, I do like people, because especially COVID, I've been maybe I just don't want to ever be around people anymore. This is so great.
Yeah.
But it turns out that you just need a whole bunch of time alone to process your extroversion.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Do you think too that like part of what the thing that makes it hard for an ENFP people like us to do improv is that, you know, if you are largely introverted, I actually think the best when I'm either like by myself or working in a small group, just like riffing with people.
Exactly,
But once I'm on stage, it's that sort of like hypersensitivity to, like, again, one of the reasons that I don't make contact with people in the audience is that I emotionally can read people so well that it distracts me. And so like I will be, you know, singing and performing, and I'll look in the audience and be like, okay, I'm not looking back at that guy.
Right.
And I'm not looking at this person.
Right.
And even if they're just like so into you and what you're doing, that's distracting too, because you start to like, you know, just sort of, you know, bond with them, and then next thing you know,
Well,
you're
and
missing the lyrics.
inevitably, I will find the one person in the audience who's like, or
Yeah.
napping.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I think, oh, everyone is bored out of their mind. I
Right.
better speed this up and finish it real quick. And, you know,
Yeah.
and it totally throws me off.
Totally.
Yeah.
And those people probably are not performers, because once you're a performer, you look down, you know, when I'm in the audience, this is why I don't like to sit in the front row. I am so empathetically tuned into that person that I'm performing for them. I love you. You're the best. Oh, good job. Good job. So I like to sit in the back so that I can actually just kind of, you know, be in myself and not have to worry about giving back as much as I would otherwise.
God.
Yeah.
You get me.
I get you.
Yeah.
I used to have to present a line of apparel at Adidas, so I would go to Germany a few times a year. Presenting to a room full of people who live in Germany is so different from presenting to
Really?
Americans. Yeah, they give you no feed. There's no head nod. They're just looking at you, arms crossed.
Robotics.
like my
Looking at you,
hell.
and they might be loving what you're doing,
But
and
you have no idea.
You have no fucking clue. Yeah, so you're like, at
Interesting.
the end, you have no idea if you've done super well or super poorly. You are getting no feedback during the whole thing, and it used to make me like just sweat so hard. Like even as an extrovert, I was like, oh my God, I can't take this. Like they're killing me here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jason said that too about going to Germany with March 4th Marching Band, which is a
Yeah.
huge, like, raucous band. And he said they would all just be like standing still, looking at them just very intently and
Yeah.
not even moving very much.
Right.
But then they would finish the song and everyone would go crazy, like, yeah! So it's like, I don't know, they just have more maybe strict social rules about, you know, being attentive, you
Yeah.
know, and receptive.
Yeah.
And then they're allowed to cut loose at the end of
Yeah.
the song. But yeah, he said it fucked with their heads so hardcore. They were
It
like,
does.
"We're bombing. They hate us."
Yeah.
Okay, wait, they like us.
There was like,
But yeah.
and there was like a sales meeting one time where Missy Elliott was playing for us like at 10 a.m. or something in Florida. And
Oh my God.
And I think it
That's
even
hilarious.
rattled her a little bit, like
Yeah.
where she was like, what the fuck? Like looking
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
She's like bringing her best at 10 in the morning, and people are just standing there, like not even like moving their bodies. at all.
Right. Yeah. Ouch. Oh my God. I hope she got paid well, because that
I'm
sounds
sure she
torture.
did. I hope.
she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Okay, I
like,
have a question.
yeah.
So was the impetus for this podcast an orgy?
It was
A little bit.
And were you both at it? And is that
No.
weird to be with your sister at an orgy?
That would be too
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, that would definitely be too weird.
Yeah,
So-
it is too weird.
Have you ever watched each other have sex?
God, no.
Never?
No.
I have nightmares about that stuff.
I know. I have nightmares too. I can remember one of them really vividly. That was like, you know, me and mom and Shar and mom. Our mom was teaching us these like how to sexually please these Nazis so that we could escape. It was like we had to so our mom was teaching us how to please the Nazis by making us like get with each other. And she was it was a horrible nightmare.
That's awful.
I'm still in therapy over it. I can't look at my mom in the eyes anymore. That's why I don't look at the camera, Mom. I can't look in your eyes anymore. But anyway, yeah, that sounds nightmarish.
Yeah,
to both
that's
of us.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started because, or I came up with the name when, with a previous partner, we had gone to a party that was a sex party, and there was one room that had a lot of people having sex at the same time, and I hadn't thought of it as an orgy until afterwards. We were driving home, and I was like, wait, was that an orgy? And he was like, yes, I believe that was an orgy.
Like,
Yeah,
right,
I
what
do
is the
believe.
quantitative difference between a sex party and an orgy?
Well, so yeah, that's
Good
what
question.
I'm trying to unpack here. Part
right.
of what I'm trying to unpack it. So to me, so an orgy is defined as 5 or more people engaging in sexual acts, whatever those may be. But to me, if there's like 5 people in a room and they're all having sex, but they're not all interacting in some way, I kind of feel like maybe that's parallel play, you know, because you could have dyadic, triad, you know.
Right.
So to me, there has to be like some connection of all 5 people or 5 or more, you know.
Right.
And then from there, if you have 5, a lump of 5, and then you have like a few here and a few there, that's still an orgy. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, by that definition,
Spell the beans.
I think I've been involved in an orgy. But it's funny. I guess in my mind, I think of an orgy as like where there's people and they're like you might not know who's inside of you or behind you, or you know, like it's sort of like there's a smoke machine and it's sort of dimly lit. But you know, most of the time, these sex parties I have been to, I am either having sex with my partner next to other people, or I might be having sex with new people, but I've definitely like known them and chatted for a bit first.
Right,
You know, so
Yeah.
no smoke machines.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my definition.
Maybe
Yeah,
we need to
yeah.
fix that and bring smoke machines to sex parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm down for smoke machines.
Yeah.
I, for one, I think that sounds awesome.
Doesn't
And I
it?
don't know, do you always want that much visceral detail? I don't know.
No,
I kind of
not
like
always.
the idea of being naked, blindfolded, and covered in oil.
Taking
and then
notes? Okay.
We're all slithering around together.
I've
She's
done
done
that.
that.
Have you done that?
I've done that. It's amazing.
That is a fantasy I'd like fulfilled.
Let's see. I've heard it called
She knows people.
liquid experience or sensual flow.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really great.
Like taking away the visual
Yes.
and then like the need to make a decision as to do I want to be with this person?
Yeah.
I love that idea where it's just feeling. You
Right,
Yeah.
just
feel
feeling. Your
way.
mind isn't involved in it
Right.
as much, and you don't have to rely on the sensitivity of our psychic bonding. You know, we're so sensitive with our eyes and what we read from each other's body language. So
Right.
without that is an interesting concept.
Right, because
Yeah.
you know when you take away one sense, it enhances the other.
Yes.
Right.
So your
Right.
clit just wakes up.
Hello, who are you? Ding dong.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark me in.
All right.
It is very
Yeah.
fun, although it takes days to get coconut oil out of your hair.
I bet.
Yeah.
But what a good moisturizer. Your pubes must feel amazing
They're
after that.
so soft.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, I
And
actually
they smell like a macaroon.
Oh, exactly. I love it. Yeah, macarpoon. 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 It's got layers, you guys. Layers to that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My macaroon has
Yeah.
layers.
I want to hear also more about, now, what's it actually called? Stand Up Smut?
Yep.
Okay, Stand Up Smut.
Stand up, smut.
I want to hear some best, worst, awkward, this is so junior high of me, but has anyone ever sported wood while they're telling a story or gotten inappropriate, just whipped it out and started macarpooning the front row?
No, I would say like the most awkward thing that ever happened in person.
Farting.
No. I think it was somebody telling a story about it involved scat.
okay.
So that was a little bit like, okay, this is tense. Like,
Because people in the room were like, it's one of the
story?
rules that everyone has to be supportive and non-judgmental. So people were
exactly
just making diamonds.
And the funny thing is, I don't have any of those stated rules that a lot of things have. Like, if anybody started talking about children or whatever, I would be like, okay, you're cut off.
Yeah.
But I haven't made it a rule that like, you can't talk about scat or whatever, right? So that did happen one time, and it was,
and they were into it, right?
yeah.
It wasn't like, and then I sharted, and it was so
No.
embarrassing. It was like, and then I sharted.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God.
So, but most of the time that, and I have had people show up on Zoom. Well, I had to make a rule: no genitals, because people would show up, nude
on Zoom.
Nude on Zoom.
Oh my God.
I don't so much care, but I think other people are a little bit like, oh, I'm out,
Right.
So now that's a rule: you can't have no live genitals.
You just gave me an idea for my own niche now. Like, I was like, how do I fit into the storytelling world? Naked storyteller. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as I don't get any on me, I'm fine. So that's fine with me.
Do people ever try to slip their genitals in by like putting in Groucho Marx like glasses and nose on their dick?
Oh my God. Google eyes
So
on the
at
end.
some point, liven things up.
Mental note.
Pull a ventriloquist
I
on
did
you.
have one where I couldn't tell because it was like dark, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that guy's naked. And then I just, I turned his camera off.
Oh, good,
And I
yeah.
sent him a private message and was like, I need to make sure you're wearing underpants,
Yeah.
And he was very angry with me that I had shut off his self-expression.
Oh my
but
God.
You're holding me back.
But most of the time, people are. I mean, I would say 99% of the time, people are really, respectful, and I think there's a good balance of pushing the envelope a little, but also making
Right.
things relatable. And I think everybody wants to be liked, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So, for the most part, I would say people are telling stories and poems and songs and everything that they are hoping people are going to respond to, as opposed to just shock value.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Most people aren't predators that want to violate other
they're really
people,
not.
but
Yeah.
They're
there
really
are
not.
Some of those.
And the thing is that, the fear of that, I think, is what keeps so many people from putting on something similar, from, showing up like, oh God, it's going to be creepy. And, and it's really not. And that's the thing, is that I feel like if we had more events that were like this and sex positive and like you could share, because, when I did my first show, my first group show in 2009, it was called Inviting Desire, and it was all about women's sexual fantasies.
Nice.
And,
Cool.
and my parents came.
Oh,
No pun intended.
And after, right. And afterwards, my dad said something that always stayed with me, which was he thought that it was wholesome.
That's cool.
Right? I mean, he's just
Yeah.
watched an entire show about women talking about their sexual fantasies. And what I loved about that was like, it's part of who we are, our sexuality, right? So if you want to have your whole self represented, that has got to be a part of it. And to me, that is what separates Dance Naked Creative from other, like, there's the internet is awash with, sexy sites and, things like that.
Yeah.
But it feels to me like I think I want to have the whole person represented. It's not, I don't want to carve off our sexuality and it's like, that's just who we are, because that's like, I think that's sort of where porn lives, right? Like,
commodity.
Right. But like, having your sexuality included as part of your personality and your intelligence and your humor, like that to me feels very healthy and appropriate.
Me too.
And that's what stand-up smut to me represents, is people coming with their whole selves.
Yeah. I like that too, because there's many things I like about it, but one of the things is that it normalizes our weirdness. Like we're all so afraid of being weird on some level, but I think that those are the things that make us endearing. And then when we hear about other people's weirdness, it gives us permission and validation that our weirdness is okay as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're I mean,
I once heard a quote, somebody saying like that every time you walk into a new room or a new situation, that the sort of thought that is running underneath is, am I safe to be myself in this situation or
so
in this
true.
place?
Yeah.
And so that is something I really feel like I want to address as soon as people come into the room, is like, this is a place where you get to share this part of yourself. And that's where I feel like the safety comes from. Yes, people could take screenshots, that kind of thing. It hasn't happened, that anybody has done anything inappropriate like that. But I can't protect people
Yeah.
from that.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, you are taking some kind of a risk.
Right.
But hopefully, with me as the host and the people that show up, it feels like a really supportive environment to be brave and to, take a
Yeah.
little bit of a risk and stretch your boundaries. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that so much. And part of it that one of the many things I like about it is that I think that in the, forgive me for using this term, but it's like it's I think it's overused and misunderstood, but like the patriarchy, a way that like women are controlled and oppressed is through our sexuality, of course. And so I really love that there's this platform that you've created and more others that are giving women and men, but especially women in this regard, a place to talk about their sexuality and have it be safe, and and have other people like your dad be able to bear witness to this part of women that we weren't allowed to speak of for so long. And I just love too that your dad thought it was wholesome, because what went through my head is like, well, what's he fantasizing about? He's like, all these women's fantasies were so wholesome.
Bet it didn't include an ovipositor from an alien.
Right, exactly. Or ectoplasmic space goo.
Well, not in that iteration, but there was a piece, and there were so many good pieces. I did that show 4 different times because it was so popular. So I basically kept the same formula of hiring a group of women, and then we would talk about fantasies and ideas, and it all started from the book My Secret Garden. Do you know?
I read that. I loved it so much.
right?
We mentioned that on one of our episodes here because our mom had that book on her nightstand.
right.
Of course,
Stole it.
her and I just like read
Right.
all of it. And we were like,
So
women
dirty.
are freaks. Oh my
So
God,
dirty.
it's so
Yeah.
dirty.
I loved it.
Love that
So
book.
Yeah, and so my idea originally was we'll take those stories and turn them into monologues. And the women that I hired for that in the cast all ended up wanting to write their own pieces and have it be original, and so that's what we did.
That's
and there were
cool.
such interesting. There was one. It was this one woman spoke Greek, so she did a piece that was in Greek and English about Ariadne, the story of the labyrinth and finding the Minotaur, and then there was like this whole Minotaur kind of rape scenario that was so hot.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it really ran the gamut, because fantasies do, right?
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So yeah, we didn't have the alien probe, but maybe in the next one, maybe we could talk.
Yeah, exactly.
We could have a remount.
No, yeah, well, remount. Yes, exactly. I love it. Yeah, actually, I wasn't kidding about the ectoplasmic, space goo. We're freaky bitches. Our imaginations
true.
are just, our vaginations are very expansive. So
Imagination, I
our
love that.
imagination. Yeah. So, and that's one of the things I'm curious about too, about the men that were brought to your show. By the way, did you give us the time signal, Michael?
Yeah, we got.
I looked at the wrong time. You
Oh.
got like 25 minutes.
Oh, sweet.
Okay, I
Sweet.
thought that went
All right,
really
good.
fast. Woo.
Because, I heard a comedian say, he was talking about learning about women's fantasies and how elaborate they were. And he's like, our fantasies are like bending you over the nearest, tabletop or mailbox and just pounding you. That's what our fantasies are. So, I'm curious about, in your experience, the men that come to the show.
There is this guy who comes and I'm so excited when he does, because his imagination is so brilliant, and he writes a lot about kind of mystical realism fantasy and all kinds of gender queer and changing genitals, and it feels super inclusive. He's one of my very favorite writers because they're just so imaginative, so different. And I would say that, the funny thing is when I want to come, orgasm.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
fantasies are not elaborate. They're basically being bent over a mailbox and getting pounded.
That's great.
If I'm in the shower or whatever, But if I want to get aroused, that's when I read erotica. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend 20, 30 minutes on a story, so that, and I'm going to care about the characters and all of that.
Right.
But if I just want to get off, I don't want all that fluff,
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Probably depends on, your mood and then, your hormonal cycle. All that
Totally, how
goes
much
through my
time
head
you
too.
have, right?
Totally.
Do I just want to fall asleep?
Yeah, right. Do I have insomnia? I don't have time to read. I'll have to turn on a light.
Right.
Squeak
Yeah,
one
exactly,
out.
exactly.
Put on Pornhub and squeak it out.
Exactly. And pull out,
and it
pull out
literally
your,
takes like 3 minutes
Yep.
tops.
Yeah.
with your electric boyfriend.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think men and women are that different in that way, but I do think that what's happened in our culture because of the imposed purity of social media that you can't, and more. I don't know if your listeners
We're
know
looking
about
at you, social media.
Fosta Sesta, that you can't, you can't share your sexuality nipples on
Starting with the
social
nipples.
media, right?
Right.
So it does sort of ghettoize sexuality into porn, right?
Right.
And porn isn't a place to go for your imagination,
Yeah.
for story. It's just for the mailbox and the pounding, right?
Yeah.
So where do people learn about, where do you go if you want to, have a more nuanced experience?
Right.
I've been a fan of literotica since I was probably 20, maybe 30 because it hasn't been around that long. But there's thousands and thousands of erotic stories. And that's where I really fell in love with erotica. And, my mother's, she had, what was it called? Women's Home Erotica.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was the one I stole. And then I discovered Nancy Friday's My Secret Garden. And, so I feel really lucky that I got this sort of introduction early on to erotica.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's true for a lot of people. I think that they're introduced to porn and they don't ever find out like there's more richness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think it would be cool if, you had like a resource guide or something like that. Because like already I'm like, oh, notes. Oh, I need to take notes. Because I do find that stuff fascinating, but don't know where to begin. And there's certainly a lot of like skanky wormholes, that you can fall into. You know what I strangely found erotic that I wasn't expecting? It was, when you and I were started thinking about the pop-up porno book.
Oh, yeah.
And I started looking at cartoon porn because I was like, all right, I'm going to start learning to like draw cartoons. And then there was like a whole world that I didn't even realize was out there. A lot of it was just like, really? I mean, how many cartoons of like Bart fucking Marge do I have to see? But still, what was great about that to me was that a lot of the time if I'm seeing porn, unfortunately, I just think too much and I'm too empathetic. So I start looking at like if the girl looks too skinny with huge, painful fake tits, and then I wonder about her relationship with her dad and her self-esteem and her identity and how she's going to feel when she's older and gravity, where I just think too much.
I hear you.
So with these cartoons, it's like a victimless, thing.
Yeah. It's
true.
So it doesn't activate my inner caring empath to,
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
My first erotica that I ever looked at was I was probably about 6 or 7 and found my dad's Little Annie Fanny, which was exactly a cartoon that was sort of sexual, but in a very sort of funny way.
Did it look like Little Orphan Annie?
Except for with huge tits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Little
and that
Annie Fanny.
and whenever my parents were out of the house and I could sneak it and look at it, I loved it. So I agree.
Yeah.
There's so much good erotic art out there. There's a Italian artist, Milo Manera. I'll send you some pictures.
Thank you.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
I was gonna ask.
So that's one of the things I love Instagram for, is trying to find other erotic artists,
good idea.
and see what
Yeah.
kind of material they're creating.
I never thought about that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I do think we are visual creatures, but there is something I think it's Esther Perel says that sex is the biology and that eroticism is the imagination, and generally I want there to be story with my sex. I want it to have some expansive qualities where I get to know a little bit more about the people or the circumstances or whatever. And also I just think I think artistically using sexuality and eroticism makes things juicier. I want to look at things that, have mystery or something hidden or,
Yeah.
So that's one of the other exciting developments for Stand Up Smut is now that I can have erotic artists, visual artists on.
Oh, yeah.
It's expanded it even more because, I can actually show visuals on Zoom, which I couldn't really do when it was in person. So,
I have some etchings for you.
oh, fantastic.
And my whole pussy magnet line. And I
Really?
make Christmas ornaments for Christmas. Yeah. Saint Dickless, Little Saint Dick, it's Frosty
You
the
are
Blowman.
endlessly creative.
I'm endlessly demented. Yeah. Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah. And then I started getting into these etchings, which I brought in on a previous show, so I won't bore everyone with it again. But yeah, I find exploring eroticism in those ways liberating as well. Like in the etchings, they're not comedic, but there's something I also feel is very liberating about exploring erotic art in a comedic sense as well, because that's one of the things that I don't appreciate about being born a female and just having all this pressure that our sexuality, our genitals, should look like this. We should groom ourselves like this. We should be, our value to, in our lives is how sexually attractive we are to men. And so there's just so much pressure to be something for someone else. And I really was inspired by when me and Char were little kids, we'd sit in the bathtub. And to this day, we're like, what the fuck were we playing with? But we'd sit there. I think maybe we had huge, Gumby, stretchy labia minora or something.
Yeah.
But we would play with them and make these siren noises.
Yeah.
It was like puppetry of the penis. but
Totally.
with your lady pedals.
I think
Totally.
it might have been like our clit hoods, but we didn't have big
I don't
clits
even
yet
know.
or something.
There's
I don't
nothing
know.
that's that
it was like,
stretchy
if
anymore.
I tried to stretch any of that now.
Ow!
Oh, I
know.
stretch it. I got full on bat wings. I can pull them out several inches.
So you do puppetry. You're like,
That's how you get ladies. You send out the bat
talking
signal.
vagina.
She sends the bat signal out to the
Bat
sky.
signal. Totally.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it.
I had a lover who wrote a poem about my pussy, and he described it in one line as a butterfly in a split baguette.
Sounds delicious.
And the funny thing was, it was supposed to be hot.
Yeah.
I just lost it.
Yeah, a split baguette.
baguette.
That's the line that needs a little work.
I would say
Yeah.
like a split baguette filled with ham or
Right.
something.
No.
Come on, let's just stick with food here.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. What do they call those sandwiches? I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, so the comedy, what I like about doing the comedy thing is that, when I'm making my pussy magnets, making all these just absurd characters, it feels a little naughty, a little sacrilege or something, because, well, I am kind of mocking a religious holiday in a lot of it. But, it's like, well, your genitals are always supposed to be just sexually desirable. And I like putting absurd faces on them and arms and legs. And it just feels, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
It's so funny because the definition of porn on Patreon. So I often get spoken to by the people who
Naughty you.
That nudity is one thing, but I cannot have open genitals. That is where it crosses the line.
Oh, okay.
And
Even if it's like a drawing.
I think it's okay if it's a drawing.
Okay.
But if it's a photograph, you can't have
Okay.
it. And which I find fascinating. Why is that the where the line gets crossed? And is there a similar line for men?
Right.
I
Yes.
don't think there is.
Good question.
Yeah.
buddy.
But the project that I have been dreaming up is this based on the Sheila Nagig figure. Do you know what the Sheila Nagig figure is? So it was this it's this figure in Celtic mythology, and you can find them all over the UK. And sometimes they're on the sides of churches, and there's these carvings, and it's a carving of a woman's figure. Like a crone specifically, and she is pulling her labia open.
Oh.
And they don't know what it means. They haven't figured, and they're 1,200 years old, right? And so there's some theories that it's like a gargoyle, it's supposed to be, projecting, frightening. And there's some theories that it's empowering or, you know, a
Right.
blessing.
Or like, this is home. You know?
Right.
Right.
Like, this is where we all came from.
Right, right.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
But it's, the project that I want to do is have people take pictures of themselves holding open their labia, and then we'll make art out of it because you can't actually, you know, show the photographs.
You have to put a butterfly on a baguette over it.
Right.
Or something.
But I just love the idea of turning them into creatures. You know?
Yeah.
Like these open-mouthed creatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll contact
I should have you
and-
come over. Yeah, I
could
do
do
a
some art.
fartistic femmes gathering with some ladies, and I've been working on a twisted fister piece of artwork where I put the whole all the members of Twisted Sister, but they're all pussy magnet faces. They're all vagina faces onto this Twisted Fister canvas, and that's the one that I've been working on lately. Yeah.
Invite me.
Yes. And you can even use, like, you know, if you want to make your own pussy magnets, that's really fun too.
Oh, yes.
Yes, join the Pussy Palace. Come on in. Yeah, pun intended. Come on. But yeah. So yeah, comedy and sexuality, I feel like, is very liberating, and that's even part of what I'm working on right now with the Diva Cup spiller. I like pushing the envelope where society is saying, like, oh, don't do this, you know. And if I find it's unreasonable and oppressive, and it's just like coming from the hangover of Victorian shame ethics, then I'm like, don't do what? And
Right.
push the edge a little bit.
What if I
Yeah.
just do this, Mom?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
me too. And that's why I got kicked off Instagram, because I was always like, can I push it a little bit?
Oh, you got kicked off?
I did.
shit.
Yeah, that's why I just relaunched today.
Oh, wow.
And I've been kicked off. I mean, I got kicked off like, I don't know, 8 months ago, and I haven't been willing to put the time and effort in.
Yeah.
Because it makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Like, and it
Yeah.
feels so arbitrary. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not okay anymore? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's why I actually got kicked off of Twitter, is that I put my, the Dump Trump comedy rap that has the vagina puppet that I do the ventriloquist with. And no explanation. They're just like, nope, you're donesy.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, you showed a homemade artistic latex, Commander and Queef Yoni, and I don't know how many lines I crossed doing that,
There
but
was
they
a
won't
lot
even
going on in that sentence.
yeah, exactly. They won't even. They don't have the time of day.
Did you get back on?
Under a different name, so they didn't they must on some level in their database they know it's me because it's the same phone number. But I'm gonna mind my manners just a little bit on there. And
Yeah.
Well, that's what I hired an Instagram coach.
Oh,
because I was like, I
cool.
don't know the fuck I'm doing. I'm 49. What are the children doing these days? But she was like, well, one, she said, if you're just always posting about your shows, nobody cares. Like they really want to know who you are, which I. As open as I am in my shows, I'm a little bit more private on social media. So I was like, okay, all right, I gotta open up a little bit more here, and share a little bit more behind the scenes. But the other thing is, I said I just feel compelled to push back against these ridiculous restrictions.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. That's not really going to work. Like you just, because you're going to lose your followers. They're going to take you down, and then all the work that you've done to build up, you'll lose. So I'm trying to embrace it. I'm trying to embrace that I can't share the way I want to share on social media. So that's what I go do over on my Patreon, and
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. It's so frustrating too, though, because it's like, if we don't push the boundaries, things won't change. Like, where would we be in comedy without Lenny Bruce, being willing to go to jail however many times, And so I just kind of feel like, sometimes we have to be the sacrificial martyr saints of, comedy and human sexual liberation.
Go to
something.
Twitter jail and
Yeah.
Facebook jail and
Yeah.
YouTube jail. Yeah.
Right.
Times.
Yeah.
crap.
But also just learning, it's really smart that you got, what'd you call it, a Instagram coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart, because then if you kind of learn, there is a way that there are social media platforms that you can express, all of you on. And so maybe just learning how to funnel people to those.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where it's at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk to this person.
And, you know, the thing that's really true to me, though, about like Patreon is that the fact that, you know, people pay for it, I mean, and it can be like $1 a month, right? It's not a huge amount of money, but I feel so much more grateful and obligated to those people. I'm like, I'm going to make things for you.
Yeah.
And because there's something coming back, it feels like a reciprocal relationship.
Right.
And it's more, I'm more excited to do
Yeah.
it. Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, with regular social media, I mean, what I'm trying to get over is that it feels like a chore to me.
Yeah.
So like when you're like, oh, we'll put it on TikTok. I'm like, oh, TikTok, I got to do that one too. Oh, you know, so but I really want to feel good about it. But
Excited.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Patreon is my place where I'm like, I really open up, you know, and I share a lot more there than I do anywhere else. Because I'm like, oh, these people really genuinely like and support me.
Yeah.
You know? So
I bet you that part of that's because of that ENFP thing. Like, you know, that we are fed by intimate connection. So that, you know, when you're like, I find that just doing things with a camera by myself, it's like, it feels like bizarre, stilted, hollow.
Totally.
You know, like you're in a vacuum, you know, because for me, I get fed by sharing joy, sharing experiences, watching the stupid shit bring a smile to someone's face. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what feeds me.
Yeah.
So I've been having a hard time with the like camera in my room.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to be yourself when it's like you access part of who you are by who you're around.
Right.
Yeah.
There's you, me, and then there's the we that we create and get to enjoy together. That's what feeds me.
Yeah.
Me and my camera. I mean, you know, it's like that's when I'm at my worst. Like, oh God, look at these blackheads. You know, which could be a show. I should think about that.
That really could be a TikTok channel of you
Right?
just picking blackheads.
Well, look how rich the Zit Popper probably. Dr. Zit Popper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, sorry. Have you seen it?
I accidentally have seen it.
Oh.
And I can't, like, it is one of those, I don't, it's a pet peeve.
Yeah,
It's a pet peeve. Although, funny story, the way I met my husband was at a party, my former husband.
I can't wait for this.
Well, we were at a party and we were all standing around talking about pet peeves. And I said that my pet peeve is watching other people pop their zits or try to pop mine, like my mother, you know, being like, oh, you got a juicy one on your back.
Oh my God, yeah. I dated your brother, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy standing in the circle, he just like looks up and he's like, oh, I really like that.
Your zit?
Watching people pop their zits.
Watching people. Right.
And I turned to him and it was one of my proudest moments. I said, do you know what that tells me about you?
What?
That tells me that you like cunnilingus. And he was like, I do. And a romance was born.
Oh my God. That's the best meeting story I have ever heard, hands down.
Does that mean our
Oh my
mom
God.
likes cunnilingus?
Basically. I wouldn't doubt it. She could grow a beard when we were younger. She got a lot of testosterone. Our mom must be a real horny bitch.
You'll have to ask her. So she likes to pop your zits.
She loved it. She would get so excited. She'd be like,
She was an
that
electrolysis.
one's the size of a VW bug.
Yeah. She'd put us on her electrolysis table with the magnifying mirror and be like, hold still. You know, so clearly, you know, preening is a way of love, a love language for us.
It is for sure, yeah.
Yeah, preening and being preened. But I have to say, I got my limits, you know, because I dated the guy that was like, ooh, Teresa, what's this? What's this? Get it, Teresa, get it. And I'll be like, no, it's on your ass. I will not pop that. If you ever want to get laid again, I am not lancing your butt boil. Right? You know? Yeah.
I would do it.
Hard limit,
I
hard
want like a
limit.
face shield when I do that because I'm just always afraid it's going to land on my lip or
That
my
happened
eye.
to me. I think that's why you remember that, Char, is because that happened to me when I was like, however old. You know, I was looking at something on, I won't say his name, but his shoulder, and like, ooh, it was a nasty one. And I popped it, and then I heard that, and then I felt this on my lip, and I was like, oh God, I got up, and then he starts laughing. What? Did it squirt on you? You know, I'm like, it's on my lip.
I think I remember who this was.
This
Yeah.
is the unsexiest podcast.
I know, right? Yeah, now I'll do it, but I'll put on a hazmat suit
For
before I
real.
do that. With
Remember you had that lump behind your ear?
Oh!
Yeah.
He's ending the show early. He's
Yeah,
like,
it's like
no,
he's
you guys
like-
are
like, you guys are
disgusting.
done.
I'm cutting you off.
No, remember you had that lump behind your ear, and your friend Lila touched it, and it
Yeah.
exploded on her.
I
You're
had
like,
it.
"Feel
No,
this
get
way."
this. I'd noticed it for about 10 years. It was behind this ear. And so we were talking about like what it could be. And I was like, well, feel it. And after all the times I'd molested it, with curiosity through the years, that one moment the universe was like, we're going to fuck her up. And she just reached back there, and that was the moment. And she goes, it popped. And I was like, no, it didn't. It's been there for, oh my God. Disgusting. We'll call this the Boner Shrinker Show.
I guess so.
Yeah. Hope no one's eating
Goodbye,
linguine
boner.
with Alfredo. All right. So I guess
R.I.P. your
I guess
boner.
it's time. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about your boners, everybody.
We love you, boners. We'll be back next
Come
week.
again next time.
Now I'm the gal that's chasing you up, really flip my lid. Come here, eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, baby. Eager beaver, well, what are you gonna do with this eager beaver, baby of mine? Ooh, I'm all there beside you, no matter where you stop. I'll follow you to move.